There's scenes here at Perry Park.
Chris Lynn has taken the wild thing and sent him.
Oh, Bateman! Wow! Yes!
Welcome to episode 45 of the Beyond the Sidelines podcast. Now, it's been about, 8 months? I'd say we've been doing this podcast now. Episode 45.
Do the maths.
Yeah, I can't count. We all did maths here, right?
Yeah.
Nice. Good work.
Exactly, yeah.
What a great way to start the podcast, CJ.
Yeah, exactly.
We're talking about how dumb we are.
Yeah,
Great.
basically.
Hey, not dumb. We
Actually,
have different
no.
skill sets, mate.
I always thought maths A was very practical, and that's
It is.
why I liked it.
And that's why you did architecture.
Yeah.
And then
'Cause you
moved
don't need
into...
maths. Apparently, you don't need maths for architecture.
Apparently not.
So,
And then you moved into journo.
yeah, just decided to, change things up a little bit.
I think we may have had a little bit of influence there, Finney.
Maybe.
Maybe. You just want to be us. So I don't really blame you, to be honest.
Who doesn't though?
No,
God.
exactly. Listeners at home do.
I mean, look at me. You know?
Stunning.
Yeah, what do you do?
Yeah.
Done.
No, but boys, last weekend, I had 2 trips to the same park because, like every other white girl in Brisbane, you have to go to New Farm Park.
Oh,
It is the go-to place. It is
Oh, it
pumping.
is.
It's
Yeah.
basically the club of Brisbane at the moment.
Yeah.
Absolutely pumping. Would recommend to anyone go there.
Well, why?
My-
Why did you go, CJ? What's the
I
backstory?
just went by
in that?
myself for
Because
beers in the park, to be honest.
Oh, really?
I'm
Oh,
not at that stage
Just
yet,
have,
boys.
just have a case yourself. Just
That's-
sit there and watch the
Watch the sun go down.
sunrise.
That's me in 10 years.
sunset.
But so basically, first on Saturday, I messaged the boys on Friday night, my mates from high school, friends. I went, all right, boys, anyone keen on going to New Farm Park on the weekend, maybe tomorrow?
Drink in the park.
And drink in the park. So we did.
Too
and it
much
was
for
good.
CJ.
Sorry?
Fake friend. I would have been
Sorry?
there in a heartbeat, mate.
So you didn't go to Brisbane Grammar, okay? So
Yeah.
that's
Mm.
I'm not
You
quite.
weren't invited, mate.
I'm not quite elite enough.
No.
Well, mate, I did invite you. I did want to get beers with you on the weekend, and you turned me down twice, pal.
Oh, did I?
Turned me down. You turned me down. No, we were going to watch the NRL
Yeah.
on one of the days, and you turned me down.
That was the day it opened. Yeah, because I had an assignment, CJ. It's
Well,
a
I'm
busy
hearing
period.
excuses, pal. I'm hearing excuses. Anyway, so I went with my high school mates, and we had a couple of beers. Walked in the esky. We were the only people there with an esky. It's just 2 20-year-old guys carrying this huge esky. Like it was one on each side where like everyone's having like charcuterie boards and cheese boards, and we're like, just a couple of beers with the boys. That'll do us. No food in sight. Maybe a couple of packets of some Samboys with some Tarzos attached.
Well, they say eating's cheating. So
Eating is cheating. That is a very true point. I was driving those, so responsible.
And cheese is not the thing to have when you're having a big one.
Nah,
so.
big chunder.
Wait, so we're moving on from something very important there.
Tarzos.
Mate, I missed the heck out of them.
Well, I mean, we've delved on our way back. I've had to drop you home a few times, and we've delved into the McDonald's drive-through
We
a
have
few
actually.
times. I don't
We
know
have.
if you've seen this, Gus, and you probably wouldn't really care, but the Macca's is doing a promotion where they're having. You can buy for $1.
For $1.
For $1, you can buy a pack of 4 AFL captain's cards,
Absolutely incredible.
which is basically like a Tarzo.
It's
Wow.
yeah,
a little bit different, but
it's value that you really can't quantify.
if I'm
But-
getting a frozen Coke, I'm getting one of them too.
well, it's stupid not to. You lose.
Packaging's a little bit average though.
It is. It's a bit of a it's a titanic struggle
Yeah, and you
to
get
try and open it. Rip out some teeth. But
Yeah.
mate,
So-
it is worth it at the end.
it
So
definitely
is it like a Happy Meal prize or something?
No,
Because I remember.
actually, I think it does come with a Happy Meal, but
Yeah.
you can just buy them. It's like you when like
Well,
you go through the
I remember
drive-through.
the great Happy Meal prizes that you used to get at McDonald's.
What was
That's
your
why-
favourite?
Oh, I remember
Do you have any
getting
that stick out?
No, they used to do a lot of the movie sort
Yeah.
of ones. So when Simpsons movie came out, or the Simpsons movie, I think I got a Marge or something. But
He got him
I
all,
like-
all to himself.
yeah, no, but like
Lucky
it was
boy.
weird. She was like, I don't know if I took the skateboard from Bart and then put Marge on the skateboard and pushed her
Ooh.
down a
It's
down a
almost like
slide.
oh my! It's like putting a lime frozen Fanta with a vanilla frozen
Yeah,
Fanta. It just
it-
works.
Yeah, it does.
Oh,
It just
mate.
works.
Yeah.
It just works. But
Yin
anyway,
and yang.
yin and yang indeed. But so we went on Saturday. We're there. We got the beers. Sun starts going down, and it's kicking off a little bit in New Farm Park. You know, all the 20-year-olds are there. All the young families have left. And for some, on the other side of the park, we just see one lamppost, and this is a decent sized lamppost, but it's not huge. And we just see someone slowly, Mulan style, start climbing their way up to the lamppost for some reason. You know, they're making their way up.
Because, I mean, that's the thing you do.
Yeah, for some reason. I don't know what could possibly have been the reason behind that, but they did anyway, and it was weird.
If you could, you would.
Oh, you would. Something else that happened that you guys might like. There are a lot of groups of guys with frisbees.
Oh,
which just gave me
in-betweeners
vibes. But anyway, so I went the next day with some work friends from a certain station, and we went and we were closer to the beach. Not the beach in Brisbane, closer to the river. Okay?
He works at Triple M, ladies and
I
gentlemen.
didn't say it. You said it.
Oh,
I
you
didn't say
absolute
it.
hero.
I didn't
I'll
say
tell
it.
you what,
That's
Gusman,
why
he's the hero we need, not the one we deserve.
And that's the 1 millionth time Campbell's brought up.
I didn't bring it up. I just purposefully dodged it because I knew this would happen.
No,
Oh,
you wanted
mate.
extra attention on it.
I
Mate.
didn't.
If you just said Triple M or hit, I would have gone, okay, mate.
No, you would have gone, but no, so we went there, we were near the river, and we're just chilling, having a bev. And
Jeez, again, mate.
hey,
Alcoholic.
it's not a problem.
Seriously.
It's not, I'm driving, so I'm drinking
Yeah.
responsibly.
Yeah.
I'm on my opens.
Oh, I hope
I'm on
so.
my opens. So these 3 ladies walk up to the river front, and it's beautiful down there. We all know this. They place their phone down, and they're wearing all matching outfits, and they just start filming a TikTok in front of
tell you what.
everyone. Like, New Farm Park has got to be the most busy public place in Brisbane at the moment, and they're just sitting there, going, I'm a savage. And you're like, what the hell
By
is
the
going
way,
on?
I have started my own TikTok called Come On the Lads.
Oh, my
Yeah.
word.
Yeah, so
This is brilliant.
Yeah, check it out. It's
Have you made
it's
any
very
videos
new.
yet?
Huh?
Made any videos?
Not of me.
There we go. Explain.
I pretty much just take videos of
Just,
Randoms?
just people
No,
walking
no,
by.
no,
just
no.
saying,
Other people filming TikToks.
No, mainly in-betweeners quotes, mainly
Trying to cover your niche for
Peaky
yourself.
Blinders
So you're stealing
quotes.
other people's content, is what you're
Yes,
trying to say.
yeah,
Okay. Okay, fair enough. Well, anyway,
Well,
these people...
Sorry, I got to
Yeah,
say,
go,
on
yeah.
TikTok, on this theme, both my parents, in particular my dad.
Bobby. Is he on it?
Yes.
My dad uses it as well. I mean,
This
I
is
don't
the best day of my life.
No, but he's walking around and he's reenacting jokes, which, if you've been
Yes.
on TikTok, you know
Yeah,
a
you
lot
know.
of the jokes are quite edgy. I'm not going to repeat them here. But let's just say, Mum's not happy. CJ.
Bobby is in the doghouse.
In the doghouse.
He's sleeping on the couch. Anyway, so these guys are filming TikTok, and you think you've rehearsed this beforehand. You really don't want to spend, half an hour. You don't want to spend half an hour trying to get the one shot in front of, I'm going to say comfortably 100 plus, maybe more, slightly intoxicated
I've got to say that takes
young
nerves.
humans. It takes
Wow.
I would not have the
Nerves
the
of
balls for
steel.
that.
No.
And they do it. They are there for no joke. They're there for probably an hour and a half.
What, getting this?
Getting the one
30-second
shot.
video.
30-second video. There for an hour and a half in
right.
front of all these people. And, every now and again they go to the phone and you just hear from the crowd, "Hey!"
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the closest thing we've had to sport in Brisbane, to be honest.
God.
That's very true.
TikTok watchers. It was the funniest thing in the world. People are just having to go. Some very sexist wolf whistles coming from the crowd.
Yeah.
But on the most part, why are you filming a TikTok in the middle of Brisbane where you are going to be seen?
Mate, I just don't understand people dressing up like one another. Now, for people who don't know this,
Looks like high five, mate. I'll tell you what.
Jesus, I'm a triplet, but I've never thought I'm going to dress up like my brother.
Did your parents dress you
No.
guys up as kids?
See, no.
Smart. Good on
It's
your
always
Bobby
just
and
been
Judy.
Judos. It's always been
Jude
very
Money. J Train.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, the nicknames are endless.
J
basically.
Sizzle.
Stop.
I'm trying to make it happen.
Don't force it, mate. Just be candid. But basically, yeah, it's never appealed to me. And I remember coming to uni back in my first year. I remember seeing like twins and stuff dressed the same backpacks.
Well, you dressed the same as one of
mannerisms.
your twins for, a good 5, 6, 7 years, right?
That's different. That was a school uniform.
Hey,
It's okay. Hey, just you nearly got me there,
Sneak that
mate.
one in.
Yeah. I mean, you did mention that might be the only sport you've seen in Brisbane over the last few weeks because we've been without sport for so long. But finally, it did come back. We saw, of course, the Broncos hosting the Parramatta Eels in the
Sound
first
more
game back.
enthused about it.
Oh,
We
you can't handle my enthusiasm.
It must
we
really
saw
suck for
the
you.
Brisbane Broncos host the Parramatta Eels. You're on community radio,
I gotta-
mate. You're just
look-
going, and Jay's Car Wash is giving a 2-for-1 deal to this weekend.
It's my soothing podcast voice.
No, and
Is it though? It's just boring.
Yeah.
I will say this: it's going to be quite painful for Gusman this weekend because the Bronx are back in action at Suncorp Stadium against the Chooks.
Yeah.
So you can't go, mate.
Terrible performance from the Bronx, man. I just say. Payne Haas
but-
was a killer. Don't even.
He really
try.
is. Look, for the Parramatta Eels,
Yeah, I got to say.
I'm not letting him make the joke.
We're not. Yeah.
he really just let it.
He really is a pain in the ass.
Oh, for God's sakes.
That's my joke.
See, you'd think the man behind the controls can control the room.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
the case.
No.
Yeah. No, but the Broncos.
just a second.
Yeah.
He's a pain in the ass
Oh,
for,
for God's
for the
sake.
Parramatta Eels.
Yeah. Look, Payne Haas was great, but
Excellent.
the Broncos as a whole were poor. They would want to bounce back against the Roosters, except I don't think they will. 'Cause
Remnants
Roosters are
of
amazing.
Look, I think-
Dragon Link saga.
Yeah, 'cause they got thumped. Apparently, I think it's now the Eels have scored what?
108?
No, it's
something
not.
like
It's
that.
like
80 odd?
86 points
In two
or
games.
92 points to 6 against
In
the
two
Broncos
games.
in 2
It's-
games.
Which is just
I'll tell you what.
not good
unreal.
enough.
Well,
not good
unreal.
enough.
We'll touch on this in a minute, but the rule changes very much, that's changed rugby league forever, I think, and it changed the way the game's played. We'll touch on that in a minute, gents. But before we do anything else,
No, well, that is the topic.
That's the topic, yeah.
That is
Exactly.
the topic
So,
for today.
I just-
Gus, run us through it.
Yeah, so pretty much we'll be looking at all the rule changes that the NRL have made and seeing whether they worked and whether other codes might try and implement rule changes of
Should
their own.
they implement
they?
rule
Yeah,
changes?
should
That's
can
the
they?
question.
AFL do anything?
Can, can it work?
Guess
You'll
we'll
have
just
to find out. Yeah.
That is a segue.
Yeah,
Ryan.
it is. It is great. We are looking over all the different rule changes that the NRL and other codes might be willing to consider in the near future. I mean, since coronavirus, we've seen a big change.
Stop, you're throwing
in-
people off, CJ.
I'm
Sorry,
trying to look at
Gusman.
you through the camera.
I'm looking at
Oh,
this,
that was
and
actually
then
quite
I'm
scary.
seeing. I don't know what you guys are doing. I'm like looking back, and
Shenanigans.
you're normal. Look at the screen,
Shenanigans.
and you're like,
It's
doing one
absolutely
of
bizarre.
This is,
Gusman.
again, this
Anyway.
is terrible listening for anyone on
it is.
Spotify.
I
It
feel
is
sorry
horrible.
for you. But no, Gusman, the week that was, Rugby League
Yeah.
is back, round 3. I
Rugby
might just
League.
say, let's just open by saying the Warriors are going to win the NRL this season. 45 from 47.
The goats.
It was
Sets,
it was
completions.
45 from 45 with 5 minutes left.
But that wasn't how it finished, Gusman. But, mate, this is, I hope, a sign of the times for what's to come. But unfortunately, I think it's going to unravel against the Penrith Panthers this
No,
week.
it won't, mate.
Look,
Jump
they-
on the hype train. Jump
Yeah,
on the
look,
bandwagon.
No, I'm not. Hey.
You're not a bandwagon. I'm hopping on the
I was born
bandwagon.
into it, mate.
Look, I think
I've had to suffer through years of this stuff,
I did
mate.
my time.
I did my time.
11 years in Azkaban.
Seriously, that's how it feels like. But I think Azkaban
serious
will be
black
better.
vibes. Yeah.
Because the Warriors, mate, they are absolute heartbreakers.
Look, I think the
I'm a
Warriors.
dog fan, mate,
I
I
think the
know.
Warriors were great, but St George were terrible.
Mate,
And
yeah,
St George
pretty-
are
pretty
they've
dross.
only won 3 games in their last 21, I think, and 2 of those were against the Titans, who are even worse.
Look,
Hey,
I
mate,
think
supreme in
And-
the NRL Nines.
well, I heard St George.
Supremely
hey,
lucky.
Don't take me back there, mate. They cost me
Apparently-
some money.
Apparently, St George lost in a training game against their B side.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did, I
with
did
Jack
read this.
DeBellin playing 5'8" and some random playing.
Look, mate,
See, that can be a good thing.
Oh.
If you've got a really competitive squad, that
Yeah,
can be a
but-
good thing.
Yeah, but then those
not
se-
good.
But
those
it's
second
just
graders.
everyone is shite.
Actually,
Yeah.
we'll say this as well. Tom Gilbert, friend of the show, making his
Yeah.
debut for the Cowboys against the Sharkies this weekend. Boys,
Huge.
teamless are out. We're recording this on a Wednesday, so there could be some changes for all we know. But teamless are out. The Sharkies, mate, they are playing a pretty good side. Now, Gilbert, he will come off the bench for the Cowboys. But you look at the halves of the Sharks. They've got Matt Moylan
Sean Johnson?
and Sean Johnson. That's right. Chad Townsend has been scrubbed out with a hamstring injury. Gusman, that's right.
That's a big loss
Yeah,
for him.
the Sharks need a win.
But-
They'll be going 0-4 if they don't win
Well,
this week.
Gilbo needs a win in
no,
his first debut.
It's
In
absolutely
his first
fascinating
debut.
because
First debut.
the blokes he's going to be coming up against. You know, Wade Graham. Just to name one. This is a bloke who's played Origin, captain of the Sharks. Mate, he's a good player.
outstanding. Yeah.
Very good player. And if he's fit, which he hasn't been in years gone by, he's starting for the Blues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're just going to wish him luck. I messaged him earlier in the week, and when we spoke to him a few weeks ago,
Months
maybe
ago now,
months
mate.
ago now.
Would have been around
basically-
Christmas, I think.
Yeah, around then. It was when he was back in town. Oh no, he's up north.
he was up north.
But no, he just said, when the time comes, it doesn't need to be this season, doesn't need to be next season. The time is right, and he'll take it with two hands.
Well, I will say this, go back and listen to that episode with Tom
100%.
Gilbert too. That interview, he was very talkative, but also very humble. Now, for a bloke in his situation who basically had his scholarship from the Cowboys, basically, tuition paid, that type of thing, he's very humble.
Oh,
when a lot of
100%.
people wouldn't be. And I think the culture of rugby league, he's not that.
Yeah,
he's very sensible.
Very sensible.
He's very focused. He's pursuing other things as well as
He's got his head screwed on.
footy. I think he's still at university and that type of
Yes, he
thing.
is.
So again, this is a bloke who very much on the right track. Hopefully he goes well on, I want to say, Saturday night at 7:30. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
The producer's telling me through the years. No.
Yeah, it's 7:30, mate. 7:30.
Yeah.
No, but good luck, Gilbert.
Yeah. So I mean, we got to mention these rule changes. Of course.
Yes. Talk to me. I'm not completely across all of them, so
Yeah.
educate
So- yeah,
me
okay,
like
so
a listener.
We
So
we
rugby
saw them.
league, it's like union except shit.
Oh.
Oh, that one.
Oh.
You mean
No,
rugby
yeah.
league or
Yeah.
Rugby league.
rugby league?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Kidding, guys.
Explain.
It's actually-
It
explain the
is.
rules.
It is like Super Rugby, but with viewers.
Oh.
No,
Yeah.
I will say this. Don, I'm right there with you on that one. Super Rugby at the moment is atrocious, but I will say this. Rugby league, it is now truly, Gusman, I will profess my love of the sport to you right now. Guys, it is absolutely incredible. This rule change, I think, has transcended the sport into, I guess, an era that could truly change the game. Peter V'landys and he's saved the sport. And a time
he
where
has.
it faced its toughest test ever. It's innovated in a truly magnificent way, CJ.
And you've said something quite revolutionary there. You called it a sport.
Yeah.
It could be one day, but it's not yet, CJ. Excuse my slip of the tongue. Of course, due to pole dancing and foot golf, rugby league is still not officially.
Surely we've
It's
got to
still
go
Time
for
you've mentioned this.
It's still
Yeah.
not official. I haven't in months.
Oh,
It's still
you're
not.
being generous there, mate. It's definitely over
Just
10.
staring straight down the lens, saying
down the
rugby
barrel of a
league
gun.
is a game. It is not a sport.
The greatest game of all. Of course.
Exactly,
Indeed.
Gusman.
Yeah.
But no, it is.
But we've been very critical of Peter V'landys on the
I have
show.
been, mate, but he's. Well, we
I
have
have
been.
too.
But
I
he's-
haven't.
Because I think
love the bloke.
I think he's been a bit too ambitious in cases. But you know what? Ambition's been key in this.
He
you know?
has, but I mean, you look where the sport's at now. Rugby league, people, pundits like Phil Gould, they're saying, this is the first sport to be back playing, and in the world, and they can believe that, but that's
just
not
false.
the case.
That's just false.
I'm pretty sure
go to Belarus.
I'm pretty
pal.
sure they never stopped in Belarus.
Yeah.
Well, the Bundesliga
Bundesliga's been back for
Yeah.
weeks. And
Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of other leagues as well.
It's actually a very exciting time for sport.
Yeah.
I will say there's Premier League's back in just a matter of weeks. So is footy. We'll talk about this in a second. Just I
Well,
won't
this
get
is
ahead
an
of
age
myself.
of innovation. This
Yeah.
is
It is.
truly because it's forced us into a situation. This whole coronavirus pandemic, it's forced us into a situation where not only sport but businesses have to innovate. Everyone has to innovate, adapt, improvise, overcome. And,
Yeah.
and the NRL has probably been the best example of that, especially in Australian
Something I
sport.
said to you off air, CJ, was the fact that this one rule change has not only sped up the game, as Gusman, he's going to actually explain the rule in a second, so we'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
But this one rule change has not only sped up the game, but it's also transcended the sport from being a big man, guys. Rugby league has loved for years, for generations, being we play up the middle, the hard middle.
Leilua
Yeah.
types.
You know what I mean? Like the real tough
Brick
guys.
shit house.
But now this one rule, if you're fat, if you're just a big guy, that doesn't cut it anymore.
Yeah.
You've got to be fit. You've got to be agile, versatile.
Agile.
Well, both. That's
Agile,
both.
correct. But now it's arguably a sport that could be dictated by little man Gusman.
Well,
or
it
the,
used
the
to.
quick guys.
That's the thing. Back in the day, it used to.
Oh, that's just
the
because
big
no one
guys-
was big.
the-
and they didn't have
well,
Yeah,
Islander
God.
players.
Yeah,
I'll tell
that-
you
that
what,
is
if
true.
If you want to laugh,
I've been editing videos for a company. I'm not every time.
double take.
I was first 15
Good on
from
you, pal.
from 1980
Good on you.
from 1989. They are all skinny white boys, and it is
Well, yeah,
they
easy.
are tiny. Even 2004, I was watching it, and they are all tiny.
Man, if you want to laugh, look back at the 1987 Rugby World Cup and watch the All Blacks do the haka.
Non-professional
Yeah.
too.
Oh, that was not professional, but
Yeah.
basically they're all, even if you go back further, they're all white boys.
Yeah.
Doing the haka, not really knowing what it's about. And they don't even know the dance. Well,
Yeah.
No, they genuinely don't. Like, it's really funny because they're all basically looking at, like, the couple of Maoris in the team and they're just
It's like if you're in like a yoga class or something, you're like,
no, but that's what it's like. But they're standing out there. This is again 30, 40 years ago before a test match, not knowing what the haka is,
Yeah.
and not knowing. So they're
Now
just
it's an institution.
They're just there going like that,
slapping wrists and legs.
That's all they're doing.
That's
And the Aussie
hilarious.
players are just looking at them like, oh
Yeah.
my god.
Because they used to, the All Blacks, they used to do a big jump in the air as well. Like,
Oh my
yeah,
word!
like,
You know, Nudgee College used to bow at the players. They used to line up along the halfway line, and they used to just bow like 3 times, like you would in like Japan. They just go like, they say something I couldn't really hear through. Or they're like, go,
But-
and it was like, what
Well,
the
yeah,
hell
no,
is
I
this?
mean, it is strange looking back at old games and old rugby league games,
come so
especially
far.
because it used to be so much quicker. I watched a 1997 grand final, Newcastle and Manly a week or two
Manly.
ago.
Man, Lee.
Yeah,
Put
and
that
that
in.
was it was so quick. The ruck speed was
You
so
think?
quick. Yeah, it was crazy, and the little guys got into it.
Union's
Guys like
so much slower.
what's that?
Union is so much slower back in the day.
Look, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, but I mean, guys like Jeff Tuvey, tiny little guy, but he was
Mm.
able to get into the game. Gary Lyons, unbelievable, and
Alfie.
I think that's exactly.
Alfie, prime
but
example.
I think they're trying to bring that sort of
Tuvey.
play back, and I think this new ruck
more
rule-
exciting.
Yeah, it is. It's way better.
People don't want to see hit up.
Yeah.
Hit up. People want to see,
It's-
set
the game's-
plays. They want to
yeah,
see
the game's too
fast plays.
structured.
Damien Cook is probably the best example, in my opinion.
Oh,
Yeah, he
of
struggled
that
though.
short,
but-
He's-
fast player,
Well, he
like a Nick
struggled, but-
White kind of type.
I think he's going to be the guy who really makes the most of this rule. Gus,
Yeah.
I
think
actually
him and
don't think so.
Josh Hodgson as well. I think they're the two.
Who do
I
you
think
think
George
is?
Hodgson more. The problem with Damien Cook is he doesn't have the forwards in front of him to lay that platform that he can get
You
out of
just
dummy
hate-
half
You
quickly.
just hate South.
No, you saw it against the Roosters. Damien Cook went missing in action.
They all looked
did
tired, man.
look. They did, but
Like,
I mean,
especially Latrell looked
I
put.
thought Latrell was alright.
I thought he played
I
terribly,
thought he
in
was
my
South's
opinion.
best player.
I thought he
Oh,
played
jeez, you really hate South if you think he's the
terribly.
best.
Yeah.
But
And he
he's-
was also having to go at a lot of Sydney players, and you're like, come on, mate.
He was
It's
doing
not the
up.
players' fault that you weren't being. That
Yeah,
they didn't offer you a contract.
He doesn't like Flanagan, but
Yeah, but still, it's like whatever.
Yeah.
Oh,
But,
someone
and-
who was elite in that game. What's his name?
Brett Morris.
Brett Morris was
Yeah.
Mate,
incredible.
He's
Both
33.
Morrises.
Yeah, but he's 33, 34.
tackled two
But
guys.
Face down.
that was 2014 Origin-esque. Now,
Yeah.
I referenced it last week. That was the one Origin I've been to.
Yeah.
And again, that was like the greatest game ever of rugby league Origin. Terrible.
Yeah,
That-
no,
again,
it
that
wasn't a good
that
game.
was very.
You picked the
have you-
worst game to go to.
Have you seen that? Have you seen that highlight, CJ, where Brett Morris, he was injured, or Josh Morris? It was one of the two. I can't
Yeah.
tell them apart. He was injured, and he was off getting treated off the sideline. And Greg Inglis makes a line break. He gets up from
Runs
the
back
physio,
on,
runs
yeah.
after him on one leg, limping,
Tackles him.
and tackles him.
GI.
Whoa.
Who's a
GI is a
big
big
boy.
boy, and he's
Yeah.
quick,
Warrington
very
bound.
athletic.
Yeah. Anyway, these rule changes. We haven't
yes,
actually
we haven't
managed
even
to
mentioned
mention
it
them in
yet.
10 minutes.
Your favourite words, mate? 6 again.
Yeah, 6 again. Oh, God, I hate that. But yeah, no, pretty much they are cleaning up the rack. The ruck. They're cleaning up the ruck.
It's a bit rich calling it a ruck. I
Yeah,
think,
it
in
is
rugby
not a
league.
ruck.
Yeah, well,
It is
they're cleaning up.
standing in front of
They're
people.
cleaning up the tackle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so pretty much if you wrestle, if you hold on too
If there's an
long, or
infringement.
there any infringements,
Yeah.
you get wave 6 again, and you can pretty much go straight away.
Because in yesteryear, it was a penalty, and then the game stops.
Yeah.
CJ, the game
So-
stops. You
Yeah.
kick the touch, you tap it, whatever. But again, it stops. That's
Yeah.
the main thing.
and teams get to recover,
Exactly.
and they get air into the lungs.
But with this now, it's a siren goes off around the stadium, and it goes, set restart. So you could be on tackle 5.
Such a good idea.
You could restart. You can be on tackle 5 again.
'Cause
Restart. I think
No
the
one
first-
likes to see the ball go out. It
No.
slows the game down. It's
Yeah.
By the way, have I told you guys about what I thought the ruck was when I first started playing rugby?
We're not talking about rugby, but sure. Go
I
on.
know, but still,
Yes.
it applies.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I grew up mainly in Western Australia. We know this. I come to play my first training of rugby union. And do we know what a ruck is in AFL?
Yes.
Yeah.
Big, jump up, tap the ball like a ball up in basketball.
You didn't, did you?
Well, I went to Brothers for training for the first time ever playing rugby, and went out and they're like, all right, we'll do some ruck training. I stood next to a guy. I'm like this. I'll come over to your mic too.
I don't want you to.
I'm coming over.
Okay.
I'm up next to him, and they're like, "What are you doing?" I was getting ready to jump up. I'm like, I'm not much of a ruckman myself, but it was embarrassing.
Classic,
it was
mate.
embarrassing. But anyway, I love this rule. I love this rule.
I think it was the first game between the Eels and the Bronx, Gusman, that I'm pretty sure the Eels had about 13 tackles in a row.
Yeah.
Which is
incredible
for rugby league. But again, that's why they were so dominant.
Yeah.
Because the Broncos forward pack, we were talking about this with Payne Haas. Pain in the Haas for everyone he plays up against. And basically, we were talking about how, they've got such a strong big forward pack.
They've got a great young forward
But
pack.
now, this rule change, that almost changes that.
Yeah.
Because someone like Matt Lodge, who was very much in the Origin conversation before he got injured, and now hopefully he could work towards that. He's a lot
less effective
than what he was last year or even earlier this year.
But you see, like Payne Haas's performance was incredible.
But he's versatile, mate, and that's what I was talking about before. You've got to be agile now, and you've got to be able to basically play like a centre.
Well, because Tom Gilbert, since we talked about him earlier, he plays in the forward pack for the Cowboys. He will be playing in the forward pack.
He's a lock or second rower.
Yeah. When he played in the GPS, when he played at any competition in rugby union, outside centre.
Yep.
Outside back, not outside back, but outside centre. And that is exactly we've spoken about it many times on the show that is pretty much Finn and I's opinion of the perfect size for NRL because you're big enough to make tackles, you're fast enough and agile enough to make plays. Obviously, you need those kind of Dane Gagai types and Josh Addo-Cars those electric players to give you a spark because you're not going to win on the flair of a forward. But, those kind of players are so valuable.
Yeah, but basically 17 players of centres.
Yeah.
That was my philosophy. And to be honest, now with this rule change, with 6 again, Gusman.
Doesn't apply.
No, it does apply.
You reckon?
I think. Yeah, because you want your team to be quick. You want them to be fast. You want them to be able to be ball players.
Yeah.
And to tire the hell out of the
problem
opposition.
is, centres can't tackle. That's the only problem. They literally... what's the joke?
From
Gordy Tallis?
Yeah, it's like,
Why do wingers score so many tries?
They're marked by
wingers.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So that's why a team full of backs would work.
That's the premise. Again, you want ball players because, mate, if I've got 10 tackles in a row, which is a genuine possibility now, if I'm running right to left, left to right, right to left, man, I'm tiring the heck out of your forward pack, your middlemen. And then I'm running up the middle with my Damien Cooks, my Tedescos. And I'm scoring 5 tries that match.
Yeah, 100%.
That wasn't the only rule change they made. They also decided to go from 2 refs down to 1, which I also think was a pretty good idea. The refs weren't very happy. I mean, understandably.
Yeah,
Pretty much
less jobs
losing.
for the boys.
Yeah, exactly.
More simplicity, mate. That's the
exactly. I mean, you saw from the grand final debacle.
6 again.
Yeah, well, the thing is, Cummins, he had touch judges telling him what to do. He had a second referee, a pocket referee telling him what to do. He had a guy upstairs in his ear telling him what to do. How can you, as a referee, keep a clear mind and focus when you've got 5 or 6 different people telling you, make this decision, make this decision? And, I mean, I'm going to touch on it, but he actually made the right decision in the grand final.
Don't go back.
He won. He made, I know, but he did make the right decision. I'm just saying, you're right. Keep it to 1 referee. Keep it simple.
We haven't said anything. How are we right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, no, you just said. No, I just mean.
Good work, Finn.
Just keeping it simple. I think that's the solution.
I think I'll retire.
That's me. That is Stumps.
I think in the Broncos. I think the Broncos Parramatta game, there were like 2 penalties in the game.
It's a lot simpler.
That's what you want. Hey.
It's a lot simpler now, mate. But I think the rule change that I'd like to see more so, and I want to hear your thoughts on the CJ, is basically I'm sick of these referees. Every time there's a try scored,
going upstairs.
I think we've got these captain's challenges. If you want, go to 2 captain's challenges.
Like throwing a flag.
But no, it's like cricket. DRS. I think that was out. I think that was a try. I don't think that was out. I'm reviewing that.
Yeah, I
because
agree.
I have these challenges.
Yeah.
It is so piss poor of these referees.
It puts more value on those as well.
It does, but it's just every decision. They're like, you know what?
I'm not.
I
I'm not
definitely-
entirely against. Like, I think that's a good idea. I think if you have like flags like in the NFL, you can throw a flag and say, "Hey, that wasn't
Exactly.
a try,"
I
or
think
"Hey,
that's
that was
exactly
a forward
right.
pass."
But
Hey, that was a knock on.
What I'm trying to say is there's
whatever.
got to be more onus on the referees to take responsibility for their decisions.
The problem is they don't want to get it wrong.
Yeah.
So
But-
as soon as they get a decision wrong, they'll be in the papers. Oh, this ref
you don't-
screwed up this
do
game.
you
Blah
hear
blah
that?
blah. He cost us our season.
Do you hear that in the cricket though?
No.
Oh, there's the.
I don't
yeah,
think you do as
still
much
remember,
as much as you
Stuart
hear.
Broad.
And
yeah,
you-
still remember Stuart Broad
as well.
sort of stuff.
If you show the crowd that it's wrong, like they do in the NRL, that they got the decision wrong, the distrust of the that it goes about. And I don't think you hear the Stuart Broad one. That was obvious, but I mean,
That was ridiculous.
Look, basically,
Yeah.
with the system, though, what I'm trying to say is the pressure, like the onus is on the referees, yes, but I think the criticism is on the players because
yes,
they've, you know,
it comes
they're-
down to captaincy at that
exactly,
point.
it's captaincy. If I've blown 2 captain's challenges on knock-ons that weren't, then that's on me, and then I don't have the luxury to be able to go, mate, he clearly, you know, that was clearly a try.
Yeah, I think the refs should still be able to do it like they do in the NFL. Like they
But
can
it
go,
stops-
I really don't know. Like, because they do just go up, like the players being reviewed.
But it stops
If they
the
have
ga-
that many unanimous, like it should be like a majority decision, yes or no.
Mate, look, it works in the NFL because the NFL thrives because
It's
it's
a bloody slow game, yeah.
It's chess.
That's a good point,
It's
yeah.
60 minutes of gameplay, but it goes for 3 hours. And personally, you know, I love it. I
Yeah,
think it's
I love
fantastic.
it too.
But it works
So
that's the
that's the
philosophy. That's,
nature-
that's
yeah,
the nature
that's-
of the game.
That's
CJ.
true, yeah.
But rugby league, especially now, it's trying to be the sport that's quick, that's fast, that's strong,
Family
that's
game.
tough.
They are trying to be a family game, I'd say.
Actually,
I like it. I like it.
Actually, another rule change, not a rule change, another innovation that we've seen from rugby league, courtesy of Fox Sports. Gusman,
God.
the crowds, the virtual crowds.
Oh my god!
The
Some of
the
the
cardboard
things that have gotten
cutouts
through
as well.
are
The
ridiculous.
So-
Wait, we'll touch on that in a second.
Yeah,
But the actual when you're watching the game and they've zoomed in on the play.
Yeah.
And they've got these sounds that you can kind of tell that they're fake, but they're real enough to provide the
I think
I like
I
it.
think the sounds it's better than nothing.
I think they're good, except I was watching the highlights of the Canberra-Melbourne game. Josh, I don't know who went over for a try, but he put the ball over the line. It was dead silent, and then like 2 seconds later, you hear, I was
Also-
like, that is just
Plus,
terrible.
The thing is, too, I think when they're doing this, when the away team scores, shouldn't there be boos? Like,
Yeah,
shouldn't they-
yeah.
I think they should try and tailor it that way instead of.
I don't
instead
think
of
I don't think they
Melbourne are
want to
on-
be booing though, like the NRL.
No, but instead, what? Melbourne fans are apparently on their feet at the thought of Canberra scoring a try.
Yeah,
Like, it
I
doesn't,
know.
it
Yeah, no,
doesn't
I
make
agree.
sense.
I mean, it's definitely better than having nothing because there's nothing worse than hearing the buzzing of the big LED lights. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
to be honest, I didn't even notice the positive cheers for the away team.
it's faint, but it's like I think it's enough.
I think
personally.
it's good because I watched a round of the AFL obviously, and there was no crowd noises.
Yeah.
And it just again sounded like you could hear the crickets going off in the background.
Sounds strange,
And
doesn't
you
it?
just hear like people shouting at each other. It's just not
One
what you
thing
want,
is,
really.
you do hear the
Park
contact
footy.
though.
You do.
You hear bodies smacking on bodies, and that it sounds gruesome, but
Yeah.
I mean it's great. It's great to listen to.
No, I like it.
Another thing that they introduced was the cardboard
Cardboard
cutouts.
cutouts,
Now,
yeah.
I thought
word.
they were very funny until some people took it the
Too
wrong
far.
way and took it too far by putting
Yeah, just not great images that you want to be there.
bad images on
like,
them.
Like the funny one was some bloke had
got a
to get his dog.
Yeah,
and he was
I like that.
And he was like, the best. My dog was just on TV. Best $22 I've ever spent.
Yeah. Do you think $22 is steep? Is it going
Uh,
to charity? Or where's it
Depends
going?
if you get on TV or not. Really.
Yeah.
I like it. I think
It's
to be
kind of
honest,
like a membership.
I think
thing.
it's a good idea as long as they keep it, as long as they look over it and make sure
They've
no
got
one's
to do
putting
more
up
background checks.
inappropriate stuff.
I don't understand
I don't-
how many people have to look at that image of the printout and then go, because someone took it and put it
Yeah,
there.
I don't know
It's not
how
like
it got out
did,
there.
How did it manage to get there?
Yeah,
if you haven't already seen it, we're not going to say what it is, but it's out there. You can go see what the image was. But how many people did that cardboard cutout go through?
Surely the guy printing it out,
Some
and then the
intern-
guy
someone's
taking
getting
it,
fired.
putting it in its seat.
Which
Seriously.
intern was given that job? Like, to be honest, I don't know. Someone's
I
losing
like
their
the,
job.
I like the idea of putting the fans in the stands, but keep it civil, keep it.
Did you see what Channel
appropriate.
9 did when I know you were watching Fox Sports? Were you watching Fox Sports or Channel 9?
I was watching Channel 9.
Did you see every time a team scored or at like a break, they would just show like a home video of one of the fans.
Yes,
Did they do that? Did they do that during the 9s?
Oh,
Yeah, similar
I think
thing.
they did.
Oh my word.
Shocking.
They just got the worst people.
Oh, God.
Someone's going, yeah, go Souths. And
Yeah.
you're like, for God's sakes,
the
come on.
The Broncos ones, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my
And
God.
It's dreadful. You're
I
like,
hate that so much.
I mean,
hate
it's
it
the
so much.
demographic. It's
well,
the demographic.
Not
of the
all,
league.
not all NRL fans are like that. Let's
Well,
just-
they had slim pickings then of
Oh,
ones they
God.
could go for.
I think they deliberately went for the ones that were just the
Hey,
stupidest.
we're like you. Yeah, I don't know. It
The
kind of
one that
reminded me.
walked the Parramatta baby into the
I
room,
didn't
and I was
see
like,
that
oh
one.
my God.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It was pretty bad. But how can we? Are there any more rule changes quickly?
No, there are
No.
a couple of
No.
scrum rules. They can move the scrum around, but
Yeah.
those were the main ones that they brought in.
They were brought in at the start of the year,
yeah,
but basically
captain's challenge as well, but
Exactly.
we forgot
Yeah.
about it.
But
because-
this does prompt the discussion of why we gathered here on this day today, gents.
It's like we're having a meeting. The Knights of the Round Table.
Exactly.
First piece on the agenda.
Higgy.
Hell yeah. All in favour say aye. 6 again rule. Thank you.
No, but basically it prompts the idea of how other sports, sports that we love, could possibly innovate to improve their worth. And CJ, we'll start with your game, mate.
My game.
Your sport.
My sport, yeah.
Footy, AFL, coming
Footy.
back, I want to say next weekend.
Yeah.
I'm so
Mate,
keen.
I'm pretty keen. But basically, how could this sport innovate? Actually, let's start with the umpire.
A resident expert.
less movement of the ball, so I don't have to run as much. I am a boundary umpire. So
Well, I have one that actually might be handy for you. This is when you posed this question to me earlier, Finn. I couldn't really think of any because most of the rules that come into games and stuff like that have to do with pace of play. So the 6 again one is a pace of play thing. The less video refs is a pace of play thing. I think the only way you can really improve pace of play in AFL, because it is naturally a pretty free-flowing game in comparison to other sports, I think the only way you could do it is make potentially all out of bounds deliberate. So I think that's because
There's gotta be
otherwise
exceptions.
players just run out. Players just go, no.
I think those, but
Yeah.
not like the situations where if I were to whack it down, 50 metres downfield, because
Yep.
I can
it takes
definitely
a wrong turn.
Exactly, because I can definitely kick it that far.
Yeah.
And then it takes an awkward bounce, as the bounce the footy does, and it rolls out. Then there's got to be exceptions. But
Okay, so
those situations, you're right. When
off the boot. So, okay, let's go off the hands. If it goes off the hands or you run out of bounds,
players need to be like attempting a genuine effort to keep it. In the
because
field of play.
it doesn't happen because they introduced it they introduced deliberate out of bounds quite recently, actually, only quite a few years ago, where that same thing of knock in. Also, maybe deliberate rushes of the ball could be changed because I'm not a huge fan of it because it's a defensive to go. We'll give up the 1 point.
You know what I was thinking? I don't know if this would work, but and I am a league fan, so I don't know it. Anyway, I was thinking it would be exciting to see more players take shots outside 50. Maybe you get 8 points.
AFL X
for-
vibes.
No, that was the NAB Cup.
Oh, it was too.
Wasn't it? Years
So
ago.
has this
the
already
Super-
happened?
Yeah,
It happened in the
Supergoals.
NAB Cup. I
'Cause
like
I
this.
reckon that'd be
10
interesting.
Points? 10
10
points?
points.
Yeah,
It
maybe
was
10
10
points. Like test
I
people
like
out,
that
see
too.
if they can
Get the barrel out.
Yeah, exactly.
Woo! The torp.
Let's see some
Love it.
some torpedoes.
But well, I mean, I love that.
I
for
love that.
starters.
That's a great idea.
But I think building on that, a way to generate more space, and that's something that I think the AFL still needs a bit more of.
Yeah.
CJ, I think there's still far too much congestion when you do see rucks and that type of thing. So
Yeah. I do love the rucks though, and they have their place because otherwise the ruckman's pretty much
useless.
a useless
Otherwise,
piece.
yeah, the pies are well
They're
overpaying.
well,
rugby.
yeah, pretty much.
But basically, do we consider zones? This isn't
What
new.
Oz kick?
Oz
Bit
kick.
of Oz kick vibes. You can only score if you're a forward. I do not like that.
I don't particularly like it either, but it's a consideration. There's also
Well, you know what they say about the Oz kick? It's where all of the testing goes down. It's like the XFL. It's where they test all the new rules that come through.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of when, not if.
Soon they're going to be playing like 5-on-5,
Yeah.
really small
Well,
fields.
That was my other thing, mate. The AFLW, I think they play with 15 or 16 aside.
16.
So could the AFL, Gusman, could they benefit from possibly going, you know what? We've got some players who maybe don't need to be on the field, really. We could afford to cut down these positions and have these other positions fill those gaps.
Would you
take off a
rather?
couple of people.
Would you rather have 2 less players on the field at a time and 2 more subs, so everyone's more fresh, making it a better game?
I like the idea of bringing fatigue into it, mate.
Yeah.
Eddie Jones, we will talk about rugby in a second, but Eddie Jones did talk about that during the week, saying we need 21 players in a rugby team instead of 23. And, that's going to...
Why would he like that?
because it's fatigue. It brings fatigue into it, mate. I think. Plus,
I guess it makes it
the
more
way,
exciting.
The way he coaches, he loves his teams to be, fit. So I mean that benefits him.
I think
but
most sports are the same with that though. Fatigue is so important because it
It
allows.
just puts more importance on fitness.
That's what's driving rugby league at the moment. It really is, and I say this unfortunately, but in a few months, teams will be fitter, and the fatigue won't be as much of an issue. But at the moment, it's very much the difference between winning and losing.
Do you think a game benefits from having more tired players who probably aren't going to perform at a high level? Or do you think the game benefits from having players who are fresher, who are going to perform at a high level, run faster, kick more?
See, I think
fatigue, it's a bit of
Yeah,
humanity.
No, but does that lead to a better product?
I think if they're fresher, I mean, both sides are going to be fresher, so I don't think the scoring is going to be as high
Why?
as if.
Yeah.
Well, I think if everyone's tired out there, it's going to be far more open.
Well, if
you've got a little bit in the tank, you're going to be able to
Exactly.
probably find open space.
Blow out a
kick
team at the
goals.
end.
More chance of points, I think.
Yeah.
But again, in footy, I think zones, that is something that should be considered. But I think cutting down the numbers. I think let's go 16. Let's go 16 aside. More space, spread it out. It's a bit weird in footy when you occasionally see one or two players in the team inside 50.
On their lonesome.
Because everyone's following the ball, and it does create congestion, CJ, and that's kind of what I'm trying to say. So that'll be my only issue.
What about? I was thinking maybe a cricket rule that you could bring over, a power play.
LBW.
So maybe 5 minutes at the start of each quarter, you have 2 less players on the field or something.
But that gets a bit gimmicky. That gets a bit
Yeah.
AFL-exy.
Yeah, it does. Because I don't mind that though, or I don't mind you've got a power play. One team, you can choose to play it in the last. Say you're down by 20,
Yeah.
But I think
you can choose to play it in the last 5 minutes.
The thing is, you don't want to make it too confusing.
I think
people watching.
it'd be way too easy to score if you had 2 more players.
You
You've
also-
got 2 more. That's a huge difference. You don't think it is, but it is.
You also don't want to, I guess, subtract from the values or the traditions of the games. Ultimately.
Yeah.
I think rugby league, they're still standing by those traditions, and AFL wouldn't hurt itself, I don't think, if it were to go, okay, let's go 16.
Yeah, a big point of contention with the AFL recently as well has been the 50 rules. So in terms of running across the mark, a lot of really dumb ones have been called where it's like a player who walks behind someone while they're running back, and I kind of want to see that gotten rid of a little bit because it just ruins the game if someone accidentally gets too close and infringes the area. And then it's 50 meters up the fit. It's for God's sake,
50 meters
come on.
is big.
50 meters is huge.
It's a bit much, I
It's
think.
too much.
I think
Maybe
go
25
30.
for that, yeah.
Something a bit cleaner. Something which basically, if you get a 50 from wherever you are on the field,
it's a huge
you're
advantage.
basically
Kicking
in
a goal.
not in a scoring position, but you're in a position to at least set someone up.
Yeah, exactly. So, even if you're in your own box, you go 50 meters, you're on your 50, you've then got, you can put it onto the half-forward flank.
That's what I mean. So
If you're on the 50, you go, or if you're on your own 50, defensive 50, you go on your 50, you can kick from there. Vice versa. If you're on your 50, you got to kick in front of goal. You got a free goal there.
100%. But again,
So I kind of like to see that get
Gil
rid of because
McLaughlin.
that's the worst way to give away a free. But Gil McLaughlin, if you're
if
listening,
you're listening, mate, which I'm sure you are, because you've got
come
so
on the
much
show.
You've got so much spare time
Tell
at
us
the
why
moment.
this won't work.
Yes.
But no, again, it's the time to be innovative. It's the time
Yeah.
to take risks
Yeah.
and reap the reward.
Well, we've got a reduced season, right? So now,
Exactly.
if there's any time
Now's
to
the
have a
time to-
gimmicky season, it's now.
Also, maybe even you restructure the whole competition. Maybe because the AFLW are doing
Conferences.
Maybe the AFL might consider it. I don't know.
Maybe for a one season, I've got.
I don't like it.
Maybe a
at all.
Victorian conference. Maybe a
I can tell you-
Adelaide, Western Australia.
I can tell
maybe
you-
a Brisbane, Gold Coast.
I can't say it on there, but I'll tell you about you guys something off air. You guys
Here
will
we
just
go.
have to hear it.
You'll miss out.
Actually, I will say this too. Reports during the week that apparently the Brisbane Lions, Gold Coast Suns, GWS Giants, and the Sydney
I love
Swans.
this.
They want their feeder clubs, their academy sides who currently participate in the NEFL competition, to join the VFL,
Yep.
which could be absolutely fantastic for the competition.
Huge.
Now, CJ, this is innovation in itself, but
100%.
basically, could the VFL or should the AFL almost set up a second division for these academies?
Yep.
Not promotion relegation, because that doesn't work, but second division of sorts.
Definitely. I am all for this. You do think then, well, what about the teams in the VFL that don't have, I can't remember who's in the VFL who aren't associated with the side, maybe like Quarter Cannons
Box
or something
Hill.
like that. Box Hill, Hawthorn.
Oh, whoops.
But but no, but you do then think, oh, why do these guys have to miss out? Or maybe they can just join in. But I definitely
I think they would be additions, not
subtracting from other teams. I like that then. But then are these players based out of Melbourne? Are they based? They can't be.
They've got to base the clubs in Melbourne, mate.
No, they can't.
But
Because they have to train with the first team and the first team staff, because that's what they train as just one
True.
huge squad.
But then that's a lot
They
of money.
fly
eh?
down every time.
Yeah.
But they have the money for that.
But it's, I don't know. Also, like I referenced traditions before in history. The VFL has so much. It is the Victorian Football League. If you start bringing in these external teams, Gusman,
It's not the VFL.
it's not the
It's the
VFL anymore.
AFL. Duh.
Too, isn't
Yeah.
it? AFL Evolution.
League duh. Yeah, I'm not like I like it and I don't like it. The traditionalists will say no, but also a lot of those sides aren't traditional. But all the current sides in the AFL are VFL sides.
They are, exactly.
So it's a bit like, well,
But I think
it's kind of, and to be honest, that VFL doesn't have a huge following. It does have a following, but it's mainly, the Magoos.
Yeah.
It's when you want to see the young players running around, the people you just drafted, the Matt Rows and stuff like
But I
that.
think in the nature of including teams who aren't Victorian based, Tasmanian Devils, let's see them. And seriously,
wanna see them.
I know, like we give him stick, but Bev, he's done a great series on YouTube, guys. Go
Yeah.
check it out.
Yeah.
No, but
Did you know the Gold Coast Suns, before they were a side, before they were a fully fledged AFL side, were in the VFL
as whom?
as the Gold Coast Suns?
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they started there and then they went up. And I think a similar thing happened with GWS because they had,
Just test them out.
what's his name? He plays for the Adelaide
Alex
Strikers,
Carey.
Alex Carey. They had Alex Carey
He was the
playing for him.
vice-captain, though.
He was. He
Again,
was.
Could have been, but again, he'll get his
Exactly.
baggy green
Yeah.
in the next few years.
But I do like this. And I think it could be a good thing for the Gold Coast because you then have players who are from Victoria who are going home and they're maybe not feeling as homesick and then they maybe don't need to
be.
misbehave and stuff like that.
point. But
Because
again,
I'm assuming that, because I think a big part of why some of the players for the Gold Coast Suns maybe act out is because, you're away from all your high school friends. You're an 18-year-old. You want to make new friends, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're probably going to do stuff that you shouldn't do to make friends, and that's what happens.
Look,
so maybe this removes some
I
of that.
think the Gold Coast, we've touched on this so many times before, Faithful, but basically they don't have a fan base. And
Yeah.
without that, you can't be a successful sporting
Well,
organisation.
we may have something cooking, so you may be able to hear more about the Gold Coast Suns in a few weeks.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Okay. Anyway, boys, moving on to my code. If
Yes.
you don't mind too much, Vodafone Super Rugby AU. I've been
Oh,
bagging on
God.
about it for weeks. Officially announced.
So-
It is a bloody mouthful,
Forgot
CJ.
Vodafone was a thing.
Oh, so did I.
Remember when it was 3?
Yeah,
And
3.
he used to sponsor
On
the cricket?
Yeah, Test cricket.
Big on the G.
That's just
Iconic.
Brett Lee.
Brett Lee.
Brett Lee.
Shane
Oh.
Warne, mate.
Yeah,
Yes.
Matthew Hayden.
Love to see it. But basically,
Ricky.
Ricky Ponting.
Ricky.
But basically, gents,
The GOAT.
the big inclusion is, and you can call it innovation if you like, but it's the inclusion of the WA-based franchise, the Western Force Twiggy Forest. He has accepted the deal. There's-
money bags.
He has got a lot of money to include the Force in the Vodafone Super Rugby AU.
I love this.
But what we don't see, the Sunwolves. No.
I'm not against
I think
that,
it was just
to be honest
too
with you.
hard for them to
Mate, but
organise it.
Logistically,
It's a bit of a
nightmare.
shame because from the way I see it, World Rugby, or at least Sansa, they're kind of just, on the back of the success of the World Cup last year, they're kind of just going, okay, Japan can do its own thing. Japan, they're a
Which
tier
is a
one
shame.
they're a tier one nation now, but they're not being treated as such.
Which is
mate.
a
So,
shame because I would argue that last year was the best year for Japanese rugby to date.
Easy.
I would want they got the most publicity. They could have built off that and gone, we are a serious rugby nation, and they still might. But I think that's a big opportunity. But could they join the Pro 14? No, they're folding, aren't they?
The Sunwolves are folding.
I
Yeah,
think
so-
I think it's a tough way for them to end. Yeah, they are folding at the
Yeah.
end of
To
the
be
year.
fair,
but
they've won 9 games. I think they
Yeah.
played 68, something like that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, proof is in the pudding.
Exciting
yeah,
for
you
those
can only
players,
be
though.
so unsuccessful
Exactly.
before you
But
get cut.
again, there are opportunities for these players.
Could we see the
hopefully.
rise of the Japanese league?
Mate, the top league, it's already big, but it's like the league where players go to, spend
Shout
their
out.
twilight years.
Yeah.
You know?
Or no, a lot of young Australians
Carter.
go over there. A lot of young South Africans.
for-
Your Sam Greens, your Jack Cornelsons.
Sabbatical, or when you're not going to make it.
Yep, Jack. I'm not going to say.
but-
or if you want to go play for Japan.
Yeah.
If you're not going to play for your country, you're going to go play for another country,
Yeah.
perform at an international level. Go to Japan because they can take you.
Isaac Henry. Yeah.
Isaac Henry?
No, Isaac Lucas, sorry.
Yeah,
Not Isaac
yeah.
Henry.
I was like, what?
He's
I
the
feel like
BBC
that's a footballer.
he was the BBC captain,
Yeah.
I think, 2 years before
Yeah.
we left.
Your name rings a bell.
But basically, Isaac Lucas apparently is being headhunted by premiership clubs. So England,
Ooh, Zachy boy.
apparently,
You know, the Reds.
He's a big lad, isn't he?
Isaac.
What? Is it
No, you're thinking Isaac Rodder,
you're
mate.
thinking of Rodder.
Yeah.
But Isaac Lucas,
Too many
The
Isaacs.
Reds have a bad
Change your
history
name.
with the Lucas brothers.
Bath.
They
Apparently.
got that'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, his brother,
Benny
can't remember
Lucas.
his name. Yeah, went to the
Yep.
Brumbies and Rebels, I think.
Yep,
Captain
because he
the
played for
Rebels
the
at one point.
he played for the Reds, and they basically shipped him out because
Exactly.
they treated him pretty
Oh,
terribly.
they had Genia and
That's
stuff.
2004 vintage.
Played with the sevens.
Terrace.
Played with the sevens too.
Yeah, yeah. So they don't, and I mean, so did Zachy Lucas. They do not have a good history with the Lucas brothers, but
anyway.
I like the idea of Isaac Lucas to Bath. Also like the idea.
Why? Why Bath specifically? What about Bath's game
Good club.
excites
Good
you?
club to be
Have you
honest
been
with
to
you.
Bath?
No, I have not.
Oh,
You've never had a bath?
Never had bath.
It's,
as you
it's,
can tell.
really,
Also,
it's really nice.
not a fan of baths. Shower. It's a shower.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had a bath in my life.
No one says.
Are you kidding me?
Maybe when I was really young. But
Yeah, bubble bath. You kidding me? Best fun in the world.
Yeah, but probably
no.
not for like 15 years.
No one says bath beers.
Bath beers. This
Oh,
shower
doesn't
beers.
work.
You
Yuck.
haven't had a shower beer. You can't talk about
I
that.
haven't.
Shower beers are the best thing in the
no,
world.
Disgusting.
Yeah,
no.
Do you not what? Do you not like shower beers?
No, of course not.
It's just an excuse to drink, isn't it?
Exactly.
CJ?
I feel like I'm coming off a little bit like an
Wow.
alcoholic in this.
Oh, God.
Anyway, again, just rolls off the tongue, but I'll say it once again. Vodafone Super Rugby AU. Apparently, it's set for I think it's July 3rd, July 4th.
Something like that.
It's coming back. I think
okay.
it's stupid that I will say this: Rugby Australia, they've absolutely sat on their laurels. They've just waited for this Raylene Castle saga to blow over, and they've used that as an excuse, I think, to go, we're going to be a bit delayed. We're going to be a bit behind the NRL.
Gives
a
a
bit behind
contract
the
another.
AFL.
Gives a contract
Well,
another 6 months.
I mean, it's been a bit tough because then Raylene,
no,
she's
it's-
left, and then
Yeah.
old
Mate,
mate came in as interim, and he left after a week or
Yeah,
something.
I
Excuse
don't
my
know
French,
what's
but
going
it's
on.
bullshit.
Yeah.
They have a board of directors. You know, it's a board of people who, when Raylene Castle steps away, that's when they go, okay, guys, here's what we were planning to do.
Don't they have
Here's
some
what we need to
significant
do."
ex-Wallabies on that board of
Phil
directors
Waugh.
too? Phil Waugh, that's who
to
I'm
name
thinking
one.
of. Yeah.
But basically, these people, they had weeks to go. The NRL, mate, pretty much since the outbreak of the coronavirus, they've been going, we'll be back.
Well, I mean, they
Yeah.
said they didn't even have to stop.
That's what I mean, Gusman. So,
Yeah.
but the Rugby Australia, I will say this, shows absolutely zero ambition. And showed zero ambition when it came to bringing the sport back.
Which really surprises me.
It doesn't surprise me at all, CJ. They don't care.
But they
a
they
payday.
should though.
I think-
I
I think-
agree that they think it's a payday,
I think
but
the Super Rugby and the A-League have really missed the boat here. I reckon they
A-League
so.
specifically, A-League
Well,
has fallen away.
I
I,
don't
haven't
even
heard a
know.
word from the A-League
the-
in months.
Apparently, they're trying to fit like 32 games in like 30.
Yeah.
32 games in like 30 days. or
That would
something
be fun, though.
ridiculous.
Apparently, they're
Oh,
going
you couldn't do it.
they're gonna
The
watch
players
it,
are
though.
just
There's
Yeah.
going to be a bubble in New South Wales, apparently. That's just what I've read online. But basically,
be
anyway,
interesting.
back to the rugby stuff. It really pisses me off. They've got an interim CEO, Rob Clark. Wrote an article on it. Go check it out.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, but
so, yeah, and you talk smack about
it
me,
was
mate.
a joke, mate. It's relevant though. No, but I will say
But was it a joke?
no. But again,
Definitely check it out.
again, the players
Rugby
leaving.
news, not rugby news. Rugbypass.com.
Rugby Pass, get it right.
Rugby Pass
World's premier rugby website.
contributor.
No, but I will say this. I did wrote another article on basically the players. I'm not saying this. It's relevant, CJ.
mate.
No.
Okay.
Basically, guys, I want to propose this question to you guys.
What would Finn do to me in that situation?
Hey,
Do it
probably
off
right.
camera. Do it off camera. Great listening again.
No, we'll say,
yeah.
that, guys, basically, the three Reds players who left, we haven't really touched on
No,
this
we
aspect.
haven't.
I can't, for the life of me, unjustify why they left. You know, I think it's absolutely fair game why they went. They're looking after themselves. Rugby Australia comes back to this board system. You know, they've got no broadcast deal for this shortened season and beyond.
Yeah.
You know, they've just received a World Rugby financial aid. And you know, and now they're not making any like progressive decisions until
Yeah.
it was almost too late. So these players who have been told 60% pay cut, join JobKeeper, and there's so much financial instability in the years to come.
Yeah.
Why the hell shouldn't they be expected to go? I'll look after number one.
Yeah, and especially because who knows what's going to happen with Super Rugby? You know, there's talks about South Africa leaving the competition.
That's gaining traction, mate.
Yeah, it's really gaining traction. But then also, if it's going to be gone in 2-3 years, as a player, why wouldn't you go? I'm going to head to England early, get my payday where it's more secure, and also
then come back.
if you were in the situation, no, you're not going to come
I'm
back.
serious. Why would you?
To play for Australia, that's the only
But
reason.
who cares? Because there's no passion in that gold jersey anymore, mate. From
There's not.
fans and players alike.
No, but if you were sacked tomorrow, Finn, you can't relate to this. If you were sacked tomorrow and you were told, if you were told that you'd had to cut your pay by 60% or whatever it was, and then you had to go, and then your manager, your agent, which there's been lots of talking down about him. If your manager then says, "Hey, mate, I can get you exactly what you were on or more." Over here,
I'd be taking that.
why wouldn't you take it? Yeah. Why wouldn't you take it? I mean, there's been lots of talk about, hey, you grew up and played for East. I've watched you play since you were a young tyke. Play for the Reds. You're lucky enough to pull on the gold jersey. And yeah, sure.
Southport.
But also...
There's a country bumpkin.
Who?
Isaac Rodder.
Yeah.
That's who you're referencing.
Yeah.
It's a country bumpkin.
Yeah. Well, he plays for East, right?
Senior rugby.
Yeah.
Not
So
throughout his whole
whatever.
career.
Whatever. Anyway, you're lucky enough to pull on a gold jersey.
But mate, when there's nothing
to play for with it.
The Wallabies aren't
It
winning.
doesn't mean what it meant.
The Wallabies aren't winning. No. The glory days of 2003. Look, back then, I would say rugby was a very close second behind NRL and AFL as equal first in terms of popularity in this country.
Yep.
Now, it's lucky to break most people's top fives. I'm probably ranking it at about 7 or 8 in terms of pop.
Would you?
I think it's ahead of the A-League.
I think it's ahead
I
of
don't
the...
think so.
Actually, I don't think so.
Participation, that type of thing.
Attendance is pretty bad at both, though.
It is. Look, basically, it's a dire situation, but I don't blame these players for leaving. So basically, let's come back to the premise of this podcast, and that's to talk about the innovation that Rugby Australia should adopt for Vodafone Super Rugby AU.
Yes. The topic of this whole podcast.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Went off on a bit of a rant.
What have you got, mate?
As a way to kind of, keep these players or reignite the passion, CJ, because rugby needs to be Origin-esque. I think
It needs to be tribal.
Needs to be tribal.
We do not have enough tribalism.
And what that needs
in
to be
rugby.
is, when the Reds are playing the Waratahs, I'm watching it because I hate New South Wales.
It's a
from
state of
sporting
origin
point of
game.
view. When they're versing the Force, I hate WA from a sporting standpoint. We need to channel that. And that's something that I think they need to switch on.
Can you do that in franchises, or do we need to have a
They are states,
nation?
mate.
I know, but do we need to have a nationwide shoot shield QPR comp?
Look, that's different because that's not going to happen. Look, okay.
Because there's passion behind brothers.
If you want to go back to the format of the competition, the structure, at the moment, the belief is South African teams are going to leave to go to the Pro 14.
I think it's a done
the
deal.
Sunwolves have folded. And the Jaguares from Buenos Aires, Argentina, are apparently telling players, look elsewhere. So there's players looking to go to France. So if they fold, and there was the discussions the other week, I think I mentioned it last week, of Michael Hooper and a few other Wallabies on the phone with All Blacks captain Sam Cane and a few other All Blacks talking about, we don't want South Africa. The best thing for Super Rugby going forward is you and I.
100%.
Trans-Tasman.
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
Although, if the domestic competition works for Australia, do you bother joining with New Zealand? Or do you just focus on Australia?
I was about to say that. Sorry for pointing. That's rude. I think it's the other way, mate. I think
New Zealand
Super
doesn't
Rugby
need-
Aotearoa is kicking off same weekend as AFL. So next weekend with the Chiefs, Highlanders, I think it is. And basically, and this is New Zealand derbies. Every week. They are
awesome.
already the best
Best teams in the world.
highly rated Super Rugby matches, period.
Yeah.
And this is a competition just for the Kiwis.
Yeah.
I think this is going to take off.
This is tribalism.
Apparently, also, that's
This
tribalism,
is the
mate.
definition of tribalism.
But they've done it in a way which is progressive. They've gone... actually, I'm not going to go... Fine, I'll go into it.
go.
Basically, they've got NPC, so the NRC equivalent, right?
Yep.
And they've got the provinces. And then these 4 or 5 provinces are associated with the Super Rugby franchise.
Yeah.
So me going for Wellington, I go for the Hurricanes because that's where they're associated, right? If you're from Hawke's Bay, you go for the Hurricanes. If you're from Bay of Plenty, you go for the Chiefs. I'm not going to go into it. I don't know much about New Zealand. But basically...
I only live there.
Yeah.
When I left 4 days after my 5th birthday, pal.
Yeah.
But
You're a fake fan, mate.
Fake fan. But basically, again, they've got this tribalism, CJ.
Yes,
but,
they do.
What else was I saying? Apparently crowds, round 1. And they're expecting that because New Zealand, they haven't had a corona case in about 11 days now.
Well, yeah,
So
they're going to suspend social distancing
No, so
in a few days, because I think it's 14 days. If they don't have a case in 14 days, then they've pretty much eradicated.
Well, I think it gets
pretty good.
I think Jacinda Ardern, the Prime
goat.
Minister, the goat.
The
I think
goat.
she's gonna move New Zealand to stage 1, which basically allows, crowds and that type of thing. So we could see crowds.
I'll be
which is
tuning
gonna
in.
be huge. Which is going to be huge. But basically, the innovation, which is what we're talking about, they have announced some innovation for Super Rugby ATRL, which again I think might separate it from the rest. That being golden points. So this is taking a page out of Rugby League's handbook, Gusman, where at the moment Super Rugby 2020 full time, whistle blows, it's a draw, shake hands, share the points. Not anymore, CJ. That's old thought. The time of change is now, mate. And
like
basically golden points. So same as Rugby League,
Big
extra
fan.
time
I've always
happens.
liked gold.
Big fan.
Yeah.
No one likes to see draws.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
we're gonna
Name me someone who likes seeing draws. I'll show you a liar.
not Ivan Cleary.
No.
No.
Yeah,
Anyway.
great reference for the fans of the podcast. Great
Well,
fans for
but
the listeners.
The Panthers drew with the Knights last weekend.
Yeah.
After, to be fair, they went through golden point.
Yeah.
But some poor side. What was his name?
God.
Burton.
Burton.
Something like that.
Bert.
Shut
Bert
up.
Nerney.
Bert Nerney.
Bert Nerney. No, it was Bert. Yeah,
Basically, he's a two-game NRL player. 5'8", missed 5 field goals in extra time. So
good player.
take that. Anyway,
Evidently not. Can't kick a field goal.
No, he can't kick a field goal. He's a good player.
Channel your inner JT, pal.
that's innovation number 1. Innovation number 2, red cards. So in all sports, red card normally means you're down a man for the rest of the match. Now,
Sorry, we just saw
I just
someone
saw a
walk.
ghost.
Yeah.
it's very uncomfortable seeing people walk past because
Yeah.
There's a big window on that side, by the
Yeah.
way. So we've got a big light coming here and we're talking to ourselves and it looks a bit weird and we feel judged. But we digress.
Sorry, Spotify listeners, you don't understand.
Yeah,
Once
again, just head to Facebook
Yeah.
or
What are you
YouTube.
doing?
Come on. I mean, we love you listening on Spotify. We love it. But if you want to get all the visual kind of, if you want to see our ugly, rude heads,
Oi,
to be fair,
speak for yourself, mate.
Go the
Come
other
on.
way. If you are watching on Facebook or YouTube, go listen on Spotify and see what that's like.
Go
You
chuck
might
it down
like
in the car.
Anyway,
yeah, sorry, we're not plugging
Don't.
mid-show.
Yeah.
Innovation number 2 is red cards. So again, normally that means you're scrubbed out for the match. And now a team is allowed to replace that player after 20 minutes.
I like that.
So they're allowed to bring-
Then it doesn't. It's kind of like a 20-minute sin bin.
So
It is,
yeah,
but
so
that-
it's
but
not
that-
really
but-
a send
No,
off.
but that player's not allowed to come
Yeah,
back.
I understand
and
that,
they still face a judiciary.
I'd
Yeah,
say
but
the-
the whole
I'd say
point,
the
I think
big-
the whole point of it is
the
to
man
lose the-
advantage.
yeah.
I'd say the big
I don't
the
like
biggest
that at all.
takeaway
But
from
it
it. Like
shouldn't-
I know it's like you may lose your best player, like say Owen Farrell or something, gets a red card, which he probably
He's
doesn't
due.
that often.
Usually you're getting a
But-
red card for an illegal action. So
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that actually.
It's deserving that
Upon
you lose
reflection?
a player. Yeah, I mean that's that's just what happens. It adds
Adds
something to
to
the
the
game.
theatre.
So yeah.
And the third innovation is something to do with the refs patrolling rucks and accelerating gameplay
Yeah.
more, which is basically, from my point of view, something they should have already been doing. So,
What are they
exactly.
doing for that?
I don't know.
What is it? He just gets some bloody
just-
binoculars out and goes.
They're
I
basically
think that's just
they're basically doing their jobs. But basically, gents, is there any other innovations that we could see in rugby? Because I'd be quite disappointed, to be honest, especially now in the wake of my rant. If Rugby Australia just went, okay, let's just copy Super Rugby ATRL exactly as it is, because they basically are.
Well,
CJ.
historically, rugby union's quite an innovative game. Only, only 20, 30 years ago, we saw the one-handed line-out throws, which is
mate,
weird.
yeah.
mate, 15
I
years ago.
Don't understand.
Why would you ever do
Don't
that?
understand why. Well, I mean, you would probably get
barely
more
grab-
power out of it.
Mate, back in '87, they didn't used to lift and lineouts.
You
They
know
used
what
to stand
try?
there.
You know what try used to be worth 0
Like under
points.
12.
0 points. Yeah.
Try used to be worth 0 points.
Really?
That's why it's called a try, because
you
it
get to
gives
try
you
for
the
the
try
kick.
for the conversion,
Did I say
which
that?
was 1 point. No, you didn't.
Wow.
Damn it.
Wow.
I knew that. That was painful.
Yeah, so
That
it was
is
a
interesting.
2-1 thriller
Yeah.
back in the day. It's just like
Outstanding.
no, that's getting no fans to it.
No, but basically, gents, there's got to be some other innovations. And
Ah,
I was just thinking of one, actually. And now...
and I distracted you.
yeah, you actually did.
Oh man.
Keep talking about yourself.
So Gus, plans for the weekend?
Oh, probably nothing. Just
Probably nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll just open up a bottle of wine.
Scrums.
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 Good filler talk there.
Open up a bottle of wine.
I got a new case of red that
Actually got a
it's a
new
1979
got a new,
vintage and I've got to crack out. It's aged real well.
Record player.
Guys, we're
Oh,
getting distracted.
gonna chuck on some Bob Dylan and Cracking aged white.
Anyway,
who?
you just keep muttering to yourself.
Sorry, continue.
Turn down your mic.
I think it's really soothing, like a Bob
Scrums.
Ross
Now,
painting.
This is the one that I'd love to see. Scott CEO commented on it the other week when rugby's talking about scrum clocks and also World Rugby. I think they want to try and basically remove scrums for social distancing purposes, which is an absolute farce.
I haven't heard that, but that is brilliant.
It's an absolute farce.
Face masks on.
Scrum.
in the scrum.
Touch. Face masks on. Bind.
Don't engage.
Sit.
Don't engage.
Don't engage.
But basically,
Just walking in a pack 1.5 metres
seriously,
and play.
it's a joke. I think long term, the rule change that I'd like to see is basically stop the clock until the ball's out of the scrum. Because at the moment, we see too much of rugby consumed by scrum resets. Now, I've wanted to do it for years, Gusman, where I sit down and I do the maths. But I'd have to say, roughly 15 minutes a game, at least, there's got to be spent on scrum resets. And you just know that if your team's winning and has a scrum with 2 minutes to go, that's full time. The ref might as well blow the whistle.
Do they currently stop the time at all?
Yeah.
No, but so during a scrum, so you get called for a
Not during
scrum, but does the time reset once the ball gets put in?
They reset once the ref goes, okay, let's do the scrum.
Okay, so touch, bind, engage. Yeah.
I've got one that probably would be a little bit contentious.
I've got
I was thinking, you got phases in rugby union. Maybe
Which
instead,
are just like, what?
yeah, maybe
Pretty useless.
Maybe you get a limit to the amount of phases you get. So
That's,
maybe
we're making it league at this point.
yeah, but
All right,
I mean,
here's a new idea, boys. 5 phases,
no.
then you have to kick the ball or it's a
No,
turnover.
it'd be more like
And-
10, maybe 10 phases if you can even get up.
This
to
is
that,
just
I mean,
league
basically.
times 2.
No, look, I think you're making too much league. Look, the whole
I just
beau-
think
the whole
it
beauty
me-
of the
then
whole
they
beauty
become
of-
the same sport.
The beauty of rugby union is the fact that the ruck is a contest, and that if you can retain the pill better than the opposition, or you can stop them from getting the ball, then you beauty, as long as you like, go for it.
I also think it'd make it more adventurous if they had one phase. If they had one phase left before they had to turn over the footy.
It's literally
That's league.
Literally
That
league.
is league.
Yeah.
I
They
think-
just become too similar
to be
at this
honest,
point.
yeah.
They're never, ever going to do that.
Rucks are what sets the sports apart.
Yeah,
Really.
100%. Completely agree.
But anyway, so I'm hoping that Vodafone Super Rugby AU, I hope that they introduce some form of scrum clock.
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't mind that. I don't mind
But
that.
I also
It's
don't
pace of
think-
play. Again, pace of play.
pace of play, that's what's important, mate. But I also don't think you should jeopardise the health and safety of the players, especially the type 5.
Yeah, so we want to see 1.5 metre scrums.
Yeah.
We want to see, 2-hand touch. We don't see any tackling. We want to see flags, actually. We want to see Oz touch.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Just pull them off.
You know what I mean, though? Because, I
Yeah.
think, again, if you look back at, the 87 World Cup, now, Dad got me the DVD. of
Which
the
we all
final.
have. We've all seen the 87
I,
World
I,
Cup.
I watched
course.
I watched it on Christmas Day when I was 11.
Far
but
out.
basically,
You are a
What a
boffin.
great Christmas.
You are a boffin, mate. You have no life. No friends.
no.
Sorry.
You
I'm
got
your friend.
No
mate.
friends.
You know that.
Got
Do
no
I?
ground.
No, but basically, what they used to do is they used to just go, scrum, go. And they used to basically just, walk into each other.
Yeah. Have you seen rucks back in the day too?
Oh,
Where
fuck.
they're just full legs,
Yeah, dude,
kicking each other.
that's
It is
stamping.
It's stamping.
disgusting. Oh, God.
And they used to wear metal studs then, and
Yeah.
basically they would stamp with authority and basically
Jesus.
try and watch blood seep from your.
It was a brutal game.
Sorry, I'm doing that again. I stamped on someone in school rugby and got a yellow card for it. So
Good, you
it's,
crub.
Yeah, no. Apparently, it's not allowed.
You should have done. You should have done that in our final game. Then we wouldn't have lost.
Stood
Wouldn't
right
have
on his
dro-
hand as well
That's a BBC
against
thing.
Toowoomba.
He's
If you got yellow carded in our final game, mate, we wouldn't have drawn that match.
That wasn't my fault.
Again,
I actually.
this is 2 in, guys.
I was
no
the man.
one understands
I was
this.
man of the match in that game, so I think that's a little bit
Speak
unfair.
for yourself.
Oh, you got a
I was
Mars bar and a
brilliant.
Macca's,
I was-
Macca's certificate.
It was a boost
to
juice
Angus
certificate,
Bryan.
mate. $5 boost juice. That's what it was. No.
Those were the best, though.
Yeah, no, but that wasn't my fault, so how dare you. Anyway, those were our thoughts on, I guess, the different rules that we could maybe introduce
Yeah.
to make all of our codes a little bit more interesting after this coronavirus break.
Let us know if you have any more.
Exactly.
Let us know if you
Yeah.
think ours don't work. If you think there may be something different, let us know on our socials.
Yeah,
Gusman.
send us a message. We're really lonely. We'd love
Yeah.
to hear from you guys about what we could do. Different innovative stuff. For this
We want to
podcast.
innovate. It's not just the
Yeah,
NRL,
exactly.
AFL, and rugby union.
Yeah.
We are a sport. Well, we're a podcast. We're a family, really, who want to continue innovating and throw out a better product.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Help us.
Help us.
Cool.
Help us help you.
Exactly. Well, you can do that by going on our Instagram page at _BeyondTheSidelines_, Facebook at Beyond the Sidelines. Check us out on Spotify. I mean, of course, we're on video now, so you can see our beautiful faces on Facebook and YouTube. Anything else left, boys? Anything you want to add?
Yes.
What are you up to this week, Gusman?
Gonna open up a bottle.
Open
up a bottle of wine.
I did want to talk about something, boys, quickly, just before we jet out. Our thoughts and prayers for the religious of us go out to all of those in the US, all of the police brutality, all of the Black Lives Matter movement at the moment. Our thoughts go out to everyone in these situations. We were actually planning to go over to the US, and we're pretty glad that it's not happening.
We should disclose not for these protests.
Sorry. No. We were planning on going exchange for the second semester of this year. We're glad we're not going anymore. But we just wanted to really give our, thoughts to everyone in the States and everyone doing it tough.
Stay safe.
It's completely disgusting.
Yeah,
Watching the police brutality in these videos, the whole thing. Even and as journos seeing, and this may be quite but seeing journos being attacked on these things, being shot at with rubber pellets, it's quite disgusting and very dumb from the police.
It's it's disgusting, mate. But again, I just hope that this is a time for change. Sadly, we've seen this before.
Let's grow from it.
This isn't the first time. Was it Charlotte a few years ago?
Mm-hmm.
We saw these type of protests.
It happens all the time.
But unfortunately, we've got to start petitions, and I think that's the only way that change is going to happen. So,
I want to mention this as well. We got to keep it civil, because there's been a lot of good protesting and a lot of bad stuff as well. So we've just got to make sure that you're not going around and affecting other businesses, no looting, none of that sort of stuff. Keep it civil. Your message will be
heard
louder if you do it respectfully.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's a very important issue that needs to be addressed. But 100%. I will say this, in the wake of this, something that is not being discussed is coronavirus.
No.
These people are not social distancing.
Yeah, they don't seem to care anymore.
It does prompt the, debate of if COVID cases don't go up over there as a result of these protests, then why should anyone anywhere have to quarantine anymore?
Yes,
so,
but
thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers with everyone in the US, everyone doing it tough at the moment in general. Yeah. We hope everyone's all safe. We hope everyone is okay. But I think that's for us for a week, boys.
Yeah, it is. We'll see you guys next time.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Jesus. What have you got planned, mate?
Oh, God, look out.